You're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
4 seconds left. In front. Happy moment. The Tampa Bay Lightning have won the first Stanley Cup. And the Tampa Bay Lightning have won the Stanley Cup. Lightning strikes twice. The Tampa Bay Lightning win their second straight Stanley Cup.
Welcome in again to RBLR Lightning here at RBLR Sports, the reigning, defending, back-to-back champions of the world, our Tampa Bay Lightning. We are here to talk another bit of hockey, and with me to do that, I am not alone. My name is Eureka, and I am not alone. I, of course, have the one and only Chris Glazer back on the ice. What's up, buddy? How are you doing?
Doing good, man. Feeling good. Went to visit some family. Had to get my mom down to Florida, so took some time off. Other than that, I was pretty jet lagged from driving all the way back down here, so just recovering and just kind of watching what the Lightning are doing right now in the off season.
How dare you take care of your family when
Right.
you have commitments, you have a podcast, you have
Right.
who doesn't care about their family? No, I shouldn't say that. No. Who is here, of course, is our third member. This is the man. This is Jake Ricker. What's up, Jake? How are you doing, buddy?
Nothing much, man. Just having some fun watching the madness of the NHL offseason continue to develop. Looking forward to talking some hockey with you guys and excited for the season coming up here.
Yeah, Jake and I were talking last week about, we had just won the cup, but now it was like, there's no time off. We have 80-something days until
Surprise,
opening
off-season.
day, and here we go, man. There's a draft and everything. So with that, Chris, you weren't here last week to talk, so I did want to get a couple things of your opinion since we didn't get to hear them last week. First thing pressing is that Seattle Kraken unfortunately have robbed us of our wild man, Yanni Gourde, man. How do you feel about Gourde going to the Kraken? And are you surprised that he's the guy they took with all of the Lightning that were exposed?
No, because I think he's worked hard. I think he's proven to be that guy that can step up and be the leader that a team needs. He goes 100 miles an hour every play. He always gives it his all. He creates a lot of turnovers. That third line was really, really big as far as contributing for the playoffs. He didn't score tons and tons of goals, but he's still out there giving you that hustle that you need. And I think that line itself was probably one of the top 5 factors of why the Bolts were ended up being able to repeat, because of just his hustle alone and the tenacity he brings to that line and that team. And he's just a great player, just a great player to watch. I'm really happy he got to play for us and we got to see what he's capable of, and just goes to show, how good the Lightning are with developing guys and bringing guys up and, letting them get their time and, being good at scouting and drafting and all that. So, obviously, losing him, I think it's going to affect us a lot more than people think. I know a lot of people wanted to keep him, but business is business. We got to do what we got to do. And we unfortunately we can't keep these super teams around, but we did get 2 cups with him here. So I wish him the best, and I hope he has a really good career in Seattle for sure.
One of the other things we had talked about was that maybe a little bit of his success was because of the players that were around him here, and will he make that leap now that he's going to be their first line? I mean, he's going to be, whether it's on the wing or in center, he's going to be a first line guy for the Kraken as they are constructed right now. Do you think that he's going to have a lot of sustained success, or do you think that maybe there's a little bit of drop off as he figures out first line hockey?
I could see a little bit of a drop off. Just you're starting, you're not starting a new job, but you might be doing the same job, but you're starting in a different place. So I think sometimes that can take a little bit to settle in. I think Gourde is obviously a really intelligent guy. I think he knows the game of hockey very well. I think he knows his role, but I think him being that first line guy, you could see a little more pressure on him to maybe have to score 20, 25 goals, 30 goals. That's a top line guy that Seattle's going to, obviously they're looking a lot out of him. They want a lot out of him when he gets to the team and starts playing. So I think he can do it. Could you see a slow start? Yeah. Could you see some people saying, "Oh, I don't know if Gord's got it." Yeah, but I think overall his intelligence, his style of play, I think his hustle, I think the team will buy into him and see how much of a leader he can really be. So I think he would definitely be up to the task to be that top guy for sure.
And the other thing we talked about without you, Chris, here was the schedule. Jake, though, I wanted to ask you first: was there anything, even a quick little thing? Was there anything that you saw with an extra week looking into the schedule?
No, not really. Just that the last 2 months of our schedule are going to be the busiest. We actually play 16 games, I believe it is, in April, and then 15 games the month before that. So things definitely get busy in those last 2 months. As we talked about in the last podcast, we have a couple crazy homestand, or one crazy homestand, one long road trip as well in there. But it's going to be a fun schedule. I'm looking forward to getting back to the full 82 game season and playing every team at least twice, once home, once away. I actually really enjoy that. So it's going to be good to see all those other teams. We got some exciting games, like the home opener, obviously for the Banner Rays, the first game against the Kraken when Gord returns home. And then you've got obviously the Olympics this year that the NHL is supposed to be participating in, and then the Nashville Outdoor Series game, which should be a ton of fun. And then obviously the last game of the season when we're hopefully back and ready for playoff hockey again.
Yeah, man. Chris, man, Jake has gone over some of the highlights there. What are you looking forward to now that we kind of know the schedule and how it's going to play out?
I think just being back to a regular season and kind of getting that, that breath of fresh air back of like, okay, we got a regular season coming up. We're back to playing different teams, and we're finally out of this drag of, kind of fading away from the no fans, bringing fans back, getting everyone back into the arena and actually playing, with fans and playing a regular schedule. And I think it's going to be great just to get back on a regular schedule, man. Obviously looking at that Seattle game, like Jake said, I think that would be a fun first game to go to here. I'm sure a lot of people will want to see Gord, of course. I'm sure he'll get a really good reception from our fans. And obviously, that first game, that's going to be a primetime game against Pittsburgh. It's a home game, so that'll be fun to kick off the season that way. It'll be first ESPN game, right? If I'm not mistaken. So that'll be cool to see ESPN kind of get back into hockey. I hope they don't mess it up too bad. I hope we got some solid commentators, and they can. ESPN tried hockey once, didn't work out too well, so they're back. So let's hope for the best with that. But yeah, overall looking at it, I'm excited. I'm glad it's going to be back to the regular thing. Just hope to God it stays this way for this season, and I hope that we can really make it through an entire season. God forbid anything else happening. But yeah, man, looking forward to it and ready to get it going.
Well, Chris, you had mentioned earlier about the Lightning's ability to develop and draft, and that's exactly what we had in between the last time we talked and now. No days off for our boy JBB, man. I think the overall feeling after this draft was basically. You had a lot of lottery tickets in the final few rounds, and we'll see how it pans out. But didn't have a pick in the first couple rounds, but did have a third-round pick, picking a defender, Roman Schmidt, and then trading back into the fourth round with the team that we beat for the Stanley Cup, Montreal, to pick up forward Dylan Duke. So, Jake, I'll bring you in first, man. What did you see out of this draft class? Was there anyone that stands out as intriguing to you?
Yeah, well, the first thing I'll say is we know the Lightning have one of the best scouting departments and the best development programs. And that's obvious with, when you look at some of the guys that have played for the Lightning, especially now with these 2 Stanley Cups. Andre Palat, who's a 7th-round pick. Braden Point, Nikita Kucherov were not even first-round picks. Kucherov was a 2nd-round pick. I believe Point was a 3rd, actually, if I'm not mistaken. But point being, I think Vasi is one of the only first-round picks on this team. Obviously, Stamkos and Hedman were as well. But, a lot of these guys were not first round picks. So just because we didn't have a first round pick doesn't mean we could get some good players out of this draft. Now, it could take a while, and they'll probably have to go through the system, and it won't be immediate impacts. But the Lightning are really good at what they do in the draft. So I have a lot more trust for them. I really liked our third round pick. He's a right-handed defenseman, and Schmidt. We don't have a ton of right-handed defensemen in the organization. It's actually one of our thinnest positions, I believe, in the entire organization. So good to at least just even have a body there, to have somebody to help out for that depth, which is good. I think he's got some good potential, so we'll see how he plays out. And then I know a lot of people were really excited about the Dylan Duke pick. As he was projected to go, second, third round. And he ended up falling pretty down in the fourth round. And again, as I mentioned, we have such a good scouting team. When JBB trades up to go get a guy, and he even said in an interview on NHL Network, he said that to us, this guy is a bolt. So he knows he fits our program and the way that this organization runs, and that's high praises for him. So that's, a really good sign, I think, that we could have a potential, superstar on our hands. Now that's a stretch, obviously. You don't know. You can't judge a draft class 3-4 years down the road. So you gotta wait and see what happens. But Dylan Duke, I think, is definitely one to keep your eye on, just because the Lightning traded up to go get him, and they didn't even have a fourth round pick. And a lot of people were excited about him.
Yeah, the NHL draft is more analogous to the Major League Baseball draft, more so than the NBA or NFL. So we won't be hearing about these guys for 3-4 years down the road, as they kind of matriculate through the system and rise up. But Chris, he had talked about Duke and talked about Schmidt. Was there any intriguing picks you saw out of the draft?
No, I was with Jake on Duke, because going up and making a trade, you thinking the guy's got to be, they must have saw something in him to go up and make that trade. So I was doing some research on him and watching a little bit on him, and he's definitely got some skills. During the 2020-2021 season, he had 29 goals and 49 points. He ranked second on the team in both categories. He was named a top 3 player for Team USA. So like you said, it's a couple years down the road, but I trust the way the Lightning draft. I trust the way we develop guys. So Duke was definitely the one that stood out for me too, and I think it's just because we went to make that trade. So I think anytime you make a trade, it's usually for a reason, and I trust the way the Lightning have been drafting and developing guys. So overall, looking at him, I think he's definitely the guy to keep an eye on.
Yeah, Schmidt, a big guy. 6'5", 210, like Jake said, right-handed defender. It's kind of he's definitely got a lot of upside, and I'm glad we picked him up. Duke, though, kind of the guy who you talk about, is he a bolt? Man, of course he is. Look at you talk about Tyler Johnson, you talk about Yanni Gourde, right? We talk about these guys that are undersized, but they're so that's one of the reasons that these guys fall in the draft, and it has nothing to do a lot of times with hockey, like when they're in between the boards. But you look at a guy and you say, this guy is 5'9" or whatever, and he's going to drop down the list. So. There's not all these guys are perfect, of course. There's going to be some things some dents we need to figure out, and we need to figure out what their strengths are as they go through. But if there's any team that has shown that they have what it takes to do that, it's been the Lightning. So good, man. Well, we went from talking about the guys that we're bringing in the draft that we won't hear from for a couple of years. Well, now we've got a bunch of guys that have kind of risen through the system, and now the Lightning have had some questions about, will they re-sign them? Are they pieces that we will continue to have on this team? And so as restricted free agency starts, qualifying offers had to be made for the team, and the 3 big ones, I think the 3 restricted free agents that I'm looking forward to the most is Ross Colton, Alex Barboulay, and Cal Foote. Those are the three guys that had NHL experience, and the rest of these guys, I still, to be honest, I don't have a good scouting report on them. So I'll have to turn to you, Jake, first. What do you think out of this restricted free agency class? Are we bringing back most of these guys, or are we going to lose a couple of these guys?
We are definitely bringing back majority of these guys because we are losing a lot of other unrestricted free agents, such as Blake Coleman and David Savard, who have already been talked about potentially getting ready to sign some other places, and rightfully so because they deserve pay raises. Savard's a Stanley Cup champion, Coleman's a 2-time Stanley Cup champion, and we just can't afford them. So we are going to need guys like ABB, Ross Colton, Cal Foote, even Boris Kachuk as well, Taylor Radish. JBB even said all of those guys they expect to be competing for lineup spots, and there's going to be quite a few of them. I've been messing around on Cap Friendly, and the way I have found to make a team work to be ready to go for next year is by majority re-signing all of these guys. So they are definitely, it's good that we got the qualifying offers in, waiting to see what the official contracts will be. They re-signed one of them in Otto Sopi, I believe it is. Apologize if I mispronounced that, but he is back, but he's one of the ones that probably won't play next year unless there are a lot of injuries. But guys like Ross Colton, ABB, Cal Foote, Kachuk, Radish, they are definitely very important parts of this Lightning team next year. You always have to have rookies that come up and take a larger role, and those are the guys that are going to have to do it for the Bolts because they are going to need to replace a lot of their bottom six. And even with the little bit of cap space that we will have after a trade is made, because we do still have to make one more trade no matter what, that money's going to get pushed into a goaltender, maybe one more other forward. And by that point, you're already, basically out of cap space again. So, these guys are super important. They will be re-signed, I guarantee it. And I think most of them will be back.
Well, you're forgetting we're just going to put our best player on LTIR again.
Right.
We're just going to do
obviously.
That again, of course. It worked one time. Why not do it again?
Yanni Gourde has shoulder surgery. He's going to be out for the start of the season. So they were already planning to do that. But then, those darn Kraken, they just took him away from us.
The Kraken are stealing they're stealing what we're doing, man. He's not really hurt, dude.
We're going to put Gourde on LTIR.
Well, all jokes aside, man, Chris, how are you looking? It's pretty interesting that we were talking about these might be the guys that we're keeping because there might not be a lot of guys coming in free unrestricted free agency. How do you feel about the most of these guys? Is there one or two guys that you're very, very happy that we're continuing on with the Lightning?
Oh, I think ABB, obviously we saw him. His potential is huge. Guys like Colton got plenty of time playing last year. He stepped up a lot, had some really big games for us, big goals. So I think guys like him, for sure, we got to keep around. Obviously, like Jake said, we can't keep guys like Savard and Coleman. Coleman does deserve a payday. I don't blame him. He's played really well for us. So guys like that are going to, we're going to end up losing. But I think we got the right guys to replace them and step up and do the job well. I think obviously we're going to be missing, guys like Gourde, if Coleman goes, Savard, you're going to miss those guys. But I think we got enough guys to replace them. It's going to take some time. I think we're going to have some speed bumps to start the season. We're going to see a totally different team than we've seen the past 2-3 years. Some new guys jumping in, filling in their roles. So I think we could see a little bit of a, bumpy beginning, not necessarily saying bad, but, just until everything gets going, guys can get gelling together. Obviously, defense is going to be huge with Savard and Luke Shen, obviously being gone. That's a big opportunity for Foote to step up. Foote played a couple games last year. Wasn't too good, he had some pretty, sloppy games there, but hopefully that's just, a learning curve that he can, we know his skill set, we know the talent's there, so hopefully, we can develop him the right way and he can come up this year and, play really well for us. So I think, obviously, we knew this time would come where we can't keep this team together, and obviously losing Gaudreau too, that stinks too. But these guys all came together for a reason. They knew they could win a cup, and they did it. So like I said, business is business. I trust our, like I said, I trust our developmental team, and I think we're still gonna have a pretty solid season next year. Obviously, a three-peat's really hard to talk about, but the talent's still there. We still got a lot of talented guys in this team, so we just gotta trust the process and let Coop do his thing.
Yeah, Jake, do you trust with Ross Colton, ABB, and Cal Foote being everyday players in that bottom six? Probably. Do you trust that these are guys that are going to be able to step up in a full-time role?
Yeah, I mean, you almost have to, because as we kind of mentioned, there's not much else the Lightning are going to be able to do. Because, like I said, by the time they re-sign all these guys, they have little cap space again as it is. But Ross Colton's one I don't have any doubts about. I mean, we saw what he did this year. He played. In fact, I mean, Ross Colton was supposed to be a guy that we just called up for a little bit while Stevens was hurt, and he played so well that they left him in there, and he ended up scoring the game-winning goal for the to clinch the Stanley Cup. So Ross Colton is one that I have no concern about. Will absolutely be a play. He might even have to play some top 6 minutes potentially, depending on how all the lines shake out. I don't know what their Cooper's plan will be, but I trust him a lot. ABB is a guy, he played well, I think, for the most part. I think it's taking him a little bit longer to find his groove. But now that he should have a full time roster spot, I think that'll help him out a little bit. So I do think ABB should be good to go. Like Chris, like you mentioned, with Cal Foote, he was one guy that wasn't overly impressed with. I know he's got a lot of potential, so hopefully he can take that next step as well. But there's no doubt, as we mentioned, like we said, the Lightning are one of the best at developing their young talent. Because that's why every year people go, where did the Lightning get these guys? Where did they come from? It's because we're so good at developing. So I have full faith in them and that they'll be ready to go and able to play those top minutes because, quite frankly, they're going to have to. We're going to need them to step up big time here if we want to go for a potential three-peat, which would be just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, so do you expect there to be a lot of maybe the Syracuse Crunch guys that we haven't had on the radar that are going to be kind of coming up and filling some roles here and there for the Lightning this year?
Yeah, absolutely. No question about it. You're gonna have a lot of that this year. And again, it's all because the Lightning just don't have the cap space, and that's the price you have to pay for having a very good team. Because so you assume Johnson gets traded. That gives the Lightning just under $6.5 million. I think it's like 6.3 something in cap space. By the time you re-sign your restricted free agents like Colton, ABB, Radish, Kachuk, then you're down to $4 million. You go get a decent backup goaltender. He may cost you like $1.7 million. Next thing you know, you only have $2 million left in cap space. You go sign one more free agent maybe for $1 million or something like that, and you're down to $1 million in cap space. So you don't have the money to go out there and get those big time free agents. So you're going to have a lot of the crunch players step up and fill some roles this year.
Chris, man, do you expect with free agency coming by the next time we talk? Jake has laid out a pretty good scenario about kind of the reality of where we're at with our cap situation. All cap jokes aside, But is there a move or maybe a free agent target that you're kind of thinking might be able to come in? I mean, obviously no superstar, but is there anybody maybe on the lower end or like kind of like how Blake Coleman was, where it's like, maybe an everyday guy, but not a name that's a marquee free agent?
I think the biggest thing for us is going to be, I think we really need I do think we need a solid backup goalie. Obviously, Vasi's our go-to. Obviously, Vasi's going to play most of the games, but I would like a better goaltender just behind Vasi, just in case of anything. I think that's the biggest thing to me that I think we really need. Obviously, yeah, we can't go out and spend a lot of money and get, the top, your top forward, your top defenseman. We're going to have some, guys like Savard coming in to fill in a role or, I mean, I don't know if we're going to make any big, I just can't see us making any big moves. We're not going to be able to afford it. Maybe like maybe a Bernier as a backup goalie, Jonathan Bernier. I don't know if we'd even be able to pull that off. I know there's a couple guys out there, but I don't see us making any kind of big moves that it's going to, make a splash just because we can't afford it. So I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be anything major, maybe something small here and there, but I guess we're just going to have to wait and see to find out.
Now, Jake, that kind of wraps around to a question that I had asked you previously. But do you think it's going to be some of the guys we've had in Syracuse, like Spencer Martin, Tyler Johnson, no relation, right? Some of these guys that we haven't brought up. Well, I mean, I guess Martin got a little bit of time up here, but is it going to be more of those guys that we're relying on to fill in the depth, or is there any chance they're going to go out and maybe go get an experienced backup goaltender?
I definitely think they go out and get an experienced backup goaltender. I just don't think you've seen enough of the goalies in our system right now to trust them. I mean, you could absolutely do it just because Vasi's so good. He could probably play a full 82 game season if he really wanted to.
Sure, yeah.
But I mean, that's not a smart idea, but he could do it. There's no question about it. But I definitely think they go out and get a veteran goaltender because, as I was mentioning, the kind of scenario I played out where if you're saving money on the forward end by relying on ABB, Ross Colton, those guys, then you can spend a little bit of money on a goaltender. The Coyotes, what is his name? Antti Retina, I believe it is. Yeah, he's a possibility. I was looking at the Winnipeg Jets backup goaltender. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But there's a couple of options out there. You're not going to go sign, like you said, any big time. And then there was Buffalo's backup goaltender. I think it's Lundmark. He's an option as well. So I definitely think for goaltender, you're going to go out and get a veteran guy. You could technically bring back McElhaney as well. You could, but he's getting older. I know a lot of the fan base wasn't too happy with him this year. But technically he's an option. But I would expect the Lightning to go out and sign a goaltender. But it's really just a matter of when at this point. Things could start flying off quickly.
I was going to make the joke that the Lightning are going to follow suit what the Rays are doing and just go out and make these trades and get some crazy all-star dudes. But we already have those guys on the roster as the core of a back-to-back Stanley Cup winning championship run. So that's pretty much all I had set for tonight. We're going to have a pretty good show next week talking about some of the free agency. I mean, it won't be super crazy, but at least we might be able to dig in and kind of see if there's a trade, if there's some madness, or maybe some other free agents that get signed up across the league that we pique our interest, and how it will relate to the Lightning as they're going forward the three-peat. The window is still open, man. I mean, we have all these guys. I think a lot of our question marks are going to be filling in the gaps and filling in the bottom six of the roster and the bottom lines and the depth pieces and all this kind of stuff, which are more than important. But with all that said, it's still an exciting time. This is going to be a very quick off season for us, guys. But we've already talked draft, we've already talked unrestricted free agency, and free agency is right around the corner as we are, less than 80 days away from opening night and raising a banner. So, Chris, I'll give you the first word, man. Glad to have you back on the show, and any final thoughts for us this week?
Just enjoying the off season, man. I mean, sports never stop, so it's always fun to just kind of mess around with the off season, see what we could do, see what moves we can make. Just kind of get excited, just kind of relax. Unfortunately, the playoffs are a stressful time, so I'm kind of glad I get a little bit of a break from staying up late and stressing out every night about if we're gonna win this game or not. So it's kind of nice to de-stress a little bit during the summertime. But obviously, we got Bucks football right around the corner.
Yes, sir.
The Rays are playing really well right now. They're making a push for first place. We're starting a series with the Yankees, so this should be a good series.
Yes, sir.
And then you got, obviously we're going to be rolling right into hockey season. So it never stops, man. It's a good time. Like I said, I'm just enjoying it as a Tampa fan, enjoying all the sports, enjoying all the celebrations. This is just one of those things as a fan, man. It's so much fun to sit here and watch all these competitive teams that we have and winning teams that we have, because this isn't going to be around forever. And to sit here and enjoy something like this in our city, I think it's just great. It's awesome for the city itself. So just enjoying, enjoying all the Tampa sports right now, man. So everyone just needs to just really soak it up and enjoy it while we can.
And this is the great segue. I'll do this right now. But, of course, all of the things that Chris just said, you can follow along with our coverage here at RBLR Sports. We are on whatever podcast app you're listening to this right now, whether it's Apple Pod or Google Pod or Spotify. Hit that like button, hit that follow button, and you can get all the coverage of the Rowdies, the Rays, the Bucks, and, of course, our guys here at the Lightning. Jake, you're the last word, man. What are you doing with this time off? Is there movies? Is there streaming services? What do we got, man? What's filling up your time right now?
I just recently enjoyed finishing the show Loki on Disney Plus. That's
beautiful.
what I've been watching.
Great show,
But I've
great
also
show.
it is a very good show. They did a great job with that. But I've also been spending probably way too much time focusing on what the heck JPB is going to do in the next 24 hours and messing around on Cap Friendly and looking at players, and because that's the fun, right? Even in the off season, us hockey fans, we love to mess around and look at that kind of stuff, though. But it should be an exciting week. We should have a lot to talk about, I expect, next week when we get back right into it. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's almost like a joke because there really is no off season. I mean, this is full go all the time, and you could follow us on any form of social media. We are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, we're on Instagram at RBLR Sports. You can also follow Jake Ricker and the amazing work him and Michael are doing over at Bolt Report at Bolt Report _TB. So we got you covered on all bases. So make sure you're getting out there and follow both of us. We're doing great things. But from all of us here at RBLR, we absolutely appreciate your time and taking it to learn a little bit more about your favorite team. So if you have a question or if you have a response to something we're saying, hit us up on the social, man. We want you to be interactive. So hit us up. Let us know what you're thinking out there, listeners, and we cannot wait to get right back to you next week and talk more Bolts hockey. So my name is Eureka. For Jake, for Chris, for all of us here, we say thank you, and of course, go Bolts.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.